this week's drive, we see a 7-times world champ make a rare mistake. Watch the world go round and round and round. See how an idea becomes motoring reality. And marvel as Twitch does what seems impossible. All this and more in this week's Drive. Formula One world champion Fernando Alonso intends to clinch another championship as his parting gift to Renault. The Spaniard, the youngest world champ in Formula One history, shocked the sport in December when he announced his defection to McLaren for 2007. As Renault launched their 2006 car, Alonso brushed aside fears that he could be distracted by his move to McLaren. And Renault put on a united front to support Alonso, despite the shock of losing their newly crowned champion to their bitter rivals.
It's a new championship coming, and hopefully we can repeat the success we had last year. Will be difficult, but to have the #1 in the car will be extremely proud of it, and I will fight again to win.
Much will depend on the performance of the team's new car, the RS26 V8. Both Alonso and his Renault teammate Giancarlo Fisichella were asked about the car, and both seemed eager to begin competing in it.
A little bit different, the V8, the style of driving, and we have to get used to the amount of power we have now. But the car seems quite good. We had a very positive feelings at the moment with the car, and we should have a competitive package again in 2006.
Rule changes mean that cars must run a 2.4-litre V8 from this year in place of the 3-litre V10s.
I had straight away a good feeling. The feedback was great. I feel very comfortable in the car, and it's a step forward. We need just some reliability, and because the performance is already good, so we have a very good potential.
For team boss Flavio Briatore, every new season brings new challenges. But this year things will be a little different. The team's job will be to maintain that precious #1 position.
You know, every year when we start the season, it's always the same story. You know? It's the new season, the new challenge. This year is a bit different because we start with the championship. We are the #1 and 2 in the car. I mean, we are very proud of that, and we are the team to beat. I mean, we done very important job this winter in the construction of the new car and the new engine. And timing was perfect. We tested the car, and it looked like we are competitive. This is more important. Renault need be staying the top, and Renault need be fighting for the championship in 2006. This is what I hope happen, and I'm pretty sure happen like that.
Renault will stay in the sport if it offers a return. In a recorded speech, company boss Carlos Ghosn addressed the threat of a rival series from 2008. Some teams are unhappy with future regulations intended to cut costs by stripping out expensive technology.
Obviously, there is some uncertainty about what are the conditions in which, starting in 2008, Formula One is going to evolve. This is not a preoccupation of Renault alone. It's a preoccupation of all car manufacturers trying to figure out what's going to be the environment of Formula One. But if I eliminate this uncertainty and I consider that we're going to come to a good resolution of the questions we have, and that Renault, that the Formula One will continue to have a good, fair return on investments for car manufacturing in general and for the winner in particular, we should be there.
MotoGP world champion Valentino Rossi has had another test drive with the Ferrari Formula One team. Having impressed in private tests in Italy, Rossi made headlines of the wrong kind in his first public outing in a Ferrari when he spun on a wet track. But support came from another 7-times world champion, Michael Schumacher.
I think it's pretty normal if you know what's going on, and I'm pretty sure most of the people, they understand that when you go out on rain tires and they cool down, it's like on ice. So it's nothing special. But today you will have a good opportunity to run the car properly.
Former MotoGP rival Max Biaggi was among those to criticise Rossi after his half spin. But Valentino had another chance to show his ability in Ferrari's 2004 car. The prospect of one of Italy's most popular sportsmen driving the famous red cars in Formula One has been widely predicted ever since Rossi first tested at the team's Fiorano test track back in April 2004. The motorcycle maestro tested for Ferrari again in August and November last year, but insists he is committed to defending his MotoGP title this season. Rossi, only 26, won the 125, 250 and 500cc titles in his second year in each class, and has won the 500cc title and its replacement, MotoGP, every year since. He made the transition from 2 strokes to 4 strokes seamlessly and migrated from the dominant Honda works team to the outclassed Yamaha squad without relinquishing his crown. But his contract at Yamaha expires at the end of this year, and it's expected that, seeking new challenges, he will join Ferrari in 2007. Only Englishman John Surtees has won world titles in the Premier category on 2 and 4 wheels, also taking 7 bike world titles and the Formula One World Championship with Ferrari in 1964. Rossi would also have to battle history and the notoriously poor record of Italian drivers at Ferrari. Alberto Ascari was Ferrari's last Italian world champion in 1952, and many of his successors have spoken of the pressure that comes with racing for the prancing horse. But Rossi has done his future prospects no harm with his performance on the track. Despite spinning twice, he completed 53 laps and clocked a fastest time just over a second slower than Schumacher in his new Ferrari 248 V8. Fernando Alonso topped the timesheets, but Rossi can be content with 9th place, ahead of respected names such as David Coulthard, Mark Webber and Jarno Trulli. Midland Formula One launched their first car at Silverstone. They hope it will put them on the podium during this year's World Championship. Formerly the Jordan engineering team, the team raced under the name of Jordan last year. But after Russian-born Canadian billionaire Alex Snyder bought out Eddie Jordan, MF1 Racing was officially registered last November. They will compete with a Russian license, the first team in motorsport's Premier class to do so. The Toyota-engined M16 will be driven by former Minardi man Christian Albers and Thiago Monteiro. Albers scored his only World Championship points in last year's farcical US Grand Prix, while Portuguese Monteiro, who remains from the old Jordan setup, took 3rd there, as well as finishing 8th in Belgium. But the focus is on Schneider, seen here with team principal Dr. Colin Collars, who's hoping on podium finishes in 2006.
Our expectations are to do better than last year, to improve, obviously, and to achieve better results that we have achieved last year, to score more points.
Unusually, the team has 4 test drivers: Russian Roman Rosinov, Germans Markus Winkelhock and Adrian Sutil, and Switzerland's Giorgio Mondini.
We haven't designed or been able to design a new car for a couple of years now, so we've had ideas stacking up for 18 months that we've really wanted to try, and now with a new car we're able to do that. So we've got a lot of original homegrown ideas on the car for this year.
Teammate, always your first opponent, of course, but you know, we're both pros, we know each other for a long time now in Formula 3 together, so we're going to work together, obviously, because we need to improve the car. There's a lot to do, and we both want to score lots of points.
Both drivers have 1 full year of F1 experience.
What we already said, you know, of course, you want to beat each other, but I think we have to keep one thing in mind, is first to bring the car up to a pace and work as good as possible what we can do. Bring it up to pace, and then hopefully the results and the prestations are there, because on the end of the story, that's the only thing what counts here is the result.
Schneider is keen to bring over the best designers and engineers from Russia and to attract sponsors from his birthplace. Christian Albers completed several installation laps interspersed with lengthy pit visits while the team checked over all the systems. Unlike the Jordan EJ15, the team campaigned last year, the M16 has been designed from the first beginnings, built around a bespoke Toyota 2.4-litre engine. James Kay described the design as an aero-led project and is confident the new chassis will prove a major step forward. The team is confident that the relationship with engine supplier Toyota is strong, amid rumours that the Japanese giant will provide Williams with V8s next year. Toyota's input into the team had increased in the last 12 months, and there was no indication that this would change. Toyota have their own F1 team with drivers Ralf Schumacher and Jarno Trulli, and are considered as likely race winners for this year. A huge 66-car field rolled up to the green flag for the start of the Daytona 24-hour. The road course proved to be quite a challenge. Just 4 hours into the endurance race, Emmanuel Collard crashed, ending his team's chances. As night fell, the number 58 car, driven by David Donoghue, Darren Law and Sasha Marson, had the lead, but a late flat tyre would drop them back to 4th place. Fireworks heralded midnight, but not midway through the race. After 9 hours, IRL star and top American female driver Danica Patrick was ready for her next stint. Despite a spin, the Pontiac Crawford, shared by retired NASCAR star Rusty Wallace, Danica and former Formula One drivers Alan McNish and Jan Lammers, got as high as 3rd in the 10th hour before an overheating problem and a blown cylinder head gasket retired their entry. Danica is 11 inches shorter than Rusty and needed a big seat insert, but was at the wheel when the car was retired. In the morning, the number 2 car held the lead. IRL champion Briton Dan Weldon could only watch as former champ New Zealander Scott Dixon took the car through the race's final laps. Christian Fittipaldi was looming large in Dixon's mirrors before a blown engine put paid to his chances with just over an hour left. Dixon took the flag after 734 laps, averaging 108.8 miles an hour, good enough for a one-lap victory over the Lexus Riley of Champ Car teammates AJ Allmendinger and Justin Wilson, and Oswaldo Negri and Mark Patterson.
It's big, you know. It's not just the victory lane here, but you know, the 24 hours so difficult to win. It's a big team effort. The Targa guys, you know, worked extra hard during the night, and it was lucky for them that you know, they just had everything down. You know, they had quick changes for any problem that we had, and you know, we did have a few with gearboxes and things like that. So it just, you know, it's so relieving after 24 hours. You know, you're worn out, and it's great to be here.
The 4th round of the Indoor World Championships took place in Italy. The 3 previous rounds all saw different winners. Although we're used to seeing the supermen of trials get over awesome obstacles, some of them did come unstuck in Milan. Perhaps that's why the sport is called Trials. One man who was in harmony with his machine was Japan's Takahisa Fujinami. His highly creditable performance saw him snatch 3rd place. It was a significant moment for the Montesa team. Fujinami became the first rider to qualify for a world indoor final on the 4-stroke bike. However, it was a battle between Fujinami and his Montesa teammate Dougie Lampkin for the remaining place in the final, with Fujinami prevailing on time over the still injured Lampkin. Fujinami's achievement meant that Spain failed to record a clean sweep of the 3 podium places. The second best Spaniard, and thus the man who finished 2nd on the night, was Albert Cabastani. The Sherco rider did well, but his record was blemished when he collected 2 5s in sections 3 and 6, errors which saw his chance of victory fade away. Winner in Granada, Cabastani initially put up a tough fight, matching Adam Raga's point for point in the first 4 sections of the qualifying lap. Ultimately, he collected 9 more penalty points than the winner of the event and the form man on the circuit, Raga. Raga had been leading since the qualifying heat, but once into the 2nd lap clearly dominated the final, producing the best performance of all the riders with an impeccable showing. The Spaniard thus became the first rider to claim a 2nd victory in this year's championship, and by consequence extended his lead in the overall standings. 3-time indoor trials world champ Raga also won the event last year. After a fantastic 2005 season where he won everything he entered, he has 2 wins in Marseille and Milan and 2 second places in Sheffield and Granada as he sets out to retain the world title. The next event for Raga and his fellow riders is in Barcelona. Honda MotoGP riders Marco Melandri, Nicky Hayden and Casey Stoner tested new bikes at Phillip Island. Winner of 2 races last year, Melandri topped the timesheet, 4/10 off his best mark in last year's Australian Grand Prix. Melandri, runner-up to Valentino Rossi in 2005, said his bike was improved since the last series of testing at the Malaysian circuit of Sepang, but added there was still some adjustment to make.
we have many things to do on the bike, and we will start to test the new tire from Michelin today. But I'm pretty happy because we already understand a little bit more than Sepang.
Nicky Hayden, who clinched pole in the previous Grand Prix held at the track, was second fastest, 22 hundredths of a second behind Melandri. The American rider, third in the championship last year, was upbeat about the forthcoming season, although he was having trouble with the Australian flies.
Yeah, no, pretty quick. I mean, conditions are really good compared to when we're here for the race. You know, not near track seems really green that time of year, but here is good and a little bit windy. But yeah, you know, basically we're going as fast as we was for the race already, and you know, looks like some bad weather could be moving in, so we're cracking along and trying to get as much done as possible this first day. So, you know, we got it all done and ready if it does get bad.
Australian Casey Stoner was comfortable and on home ground and took his Honda to the third quickest time, just 6 100ths of a second behind, despite being a newcomer to the mighty 5-cylinder 4-stroke. The 20-year-old is fresh from second place in last year's 250cc championship. Sete Gibernau and Ducati arrived at Phillip Island in Australia, hoping for some more impressive testing after dominating in Sepang. But this wasn't such a good session for the Spanish rider, who recently expressed his satisfaction with life after leaving Honda, half a second down on Melandri. Dani Pedrosa beat Stoner to last year's 250cc title, but couldn't match the Australian at Phillip Island. The Spaniard was half a second slower than teammate Hayden and looks set for an exciting debut season in MotoGP. Gibernau's Ducati teammate Loris Capirossi was also having a difficult time, and he had to settle for 6th fastest, nearly a second off Melandri's mark. With Yamaha and Suzuki opting to bypass the 3-day test in favour of Qatar, it was Honda's chance to put a marker down for the season ahead. Kawasaki has most to do before the season opener in Spain. Shinya Nakano was quickest of the green men, but was over a second off the pace. We shift down a gear now to see a new car coming on the market. In this high-tech world, it's nice to know that some aspects of car design are still done by hand, by a human. The clever computerized stuff, CAD/CAM or computer-aided design and computer-aided manufacture, comes later. But once the design has been digitized, a computer numerically controlled milling machine can produce models of any size in minutes, so the stylists can see and evaluate their project in 3 dimensions. Not only that, but a virtual reality version can also be created, so that by the time prototypes are built, all the pieces fit and testing can begin. That includes making sure that the quiet ride inside isn't compromised by noise that comes from outside. Of course, even the world's best stylists do have to abide by some tedious rules. Details like lights have to be a certain distance apart and up from the ground, throw their light given distances and be visible in poor conditions. And they have to look good too. Then there's durability testing. Big cold rooms chill down to Arctic temperatures, and then bounce rigs make sure that nothing cracks, fractures or fails. This is especially true for rubber and plastic items such as windscreen and door seals, brake and radiator hoses and drive belts. And then there are salt spray rooms and artificial deserts too. Some bodies are tested for cycles that can include lapping the world's most demanding racetracks almost indefinitely if need be, all without moving an inch. Huge vertical, lateral and longitudinal loads can be imposed time and time again. It's Audi's answer to the BMW X5, Range Rover Sport and so on. Developed from the Pikes Peak Quattro concept car, the 7-seater Q7 has a conventional steel chassis and shares some of its underpinnings with the Volkswagen Touareg and Porsche Cayenne. But the Q7 rides on a nearly 6-inch longer wheelbase, and that gives it a leaner, athletic appearance. Testing on the real Nürburgring records figures, but also allows the all-important feel to be evaluated. If it's not there, the human driver can report back and some minor tweaks can make the new model fit right into the family. And although the Q7 will be capable off-road thanks to its adjustable air suspension and all-wheel drive, it was not designed to withstand serious off-road excursions. This allowed Audi's engineers to reduce the total weight by 150 kilograms compared to the one used for the KN. Further evidence of the Q7's dedication to on-road performance is seen in the 20-inch wheels, each wrapped in low-profile 40 series rubber, measuring 275 millimeters wide. Though much of its componentry is unique, the three cars share the same adaptive air suspension system. The Pikes Peak show car featured a 500 horsepower FSA direct injection petrol engine, a version of the twin-turbo 4.2 V8, although the production models get Audi's 3.2-litre V6 and 4.2 V8, with their upcoming V10 a possibility. Both engines will be mated to 6-speed Tiptronic automatic gearboxes. Audi has also shown a concept Q7 hybrid, which will likely see the light of day in 2008. The Q7 hybrid will run on a combination of the 4.2-litre V8 and a 32-kilowatt electric motor, which should increase its fuel economy over that of a standard Q7 by about 13%. The interior of the Q7 is similar to the new A6 in design and feel. The driving position is more like sitting in a car than an SUV, again emphasising performance over utility. Stadium-style second-row seats give rear passengers a good view and plenty of headroom and legroom, but foot space is a little tight. Third-row seating is optional, although, as with most vehicles in this class, there's really only enough room for children. The Q7 is being built at Volkswagen's plant at Bratislava in Slovakia. It seems the sportiest utility vehicle might no longer be sold at Porsche dealerships. In the snowmobile snowcross final at the Winter X Games in Aspen, Colorado, a full field took to the track. Canadian Blair Morgan got jammed at the start and dropped back to 5th place before working his way through the field.
And here we go. Keep an eye on Morgan. Far left. No, he gets pushed back. Malinowski and Lavallee got the whole shots, Paul. Malinowski on the right makes it first into the turn. Lavallee takes the high line behind him. It looked to me like Ross Martin, also a great launch. That clutching work paid off. He's third. Look at the air. Oh, Martin goes way high. Now they start on this first complete lap. Malinowski fighting that slip.
Levi Lavallee had the lead from the start and had a 9-second advantage over Morgan on the final lap when he came into a jump too flat and had his sled turn sideways, throwing him off the machine. The safety key attached to his wrist flew out of Lavallee's snowmobile and he had trouble finding it, giving Morgan the chance to pass and take the checkered flag.
Morgan 7C. It looks like he's going to do it again. It took the hesitation of a moment, the slightest of mistakes, and Blair Morgan was able to...
Blair Morgan set a Winter Cross Games record with his 8th consecutive medal, taking home his 5th snowcross gold. Lavallee remounted to finish 2nd, ahead of Ross Martin. Half of the top 10 were from Canada and the other half from northern US states.
Gold medal for Blair Morgan.
But weather conditions changed overnight. Because of the wet, sticky snow, the skiers and riders got together and decided to do a best trick competition. Victory in motocross best trick went to Jeremy Twitch Stenberg. The gold medal was a vast improvement over his 5th place finish here in 2004. Stenberg also won gold in last year's Summercross Games. He's known as Twitch because he has Tourette's syndrome. So, whether you're looking for a new company car, defying gravity, or going for a ride beside the seaside, so you stay on track and up to speed, make sure you catch next week's Drive.